Alright, hello everyone, it's me Ethan, and in this video we will take a close look at caffeine, how it works, why it is so commonly used by yoga students, how to use it, and I'm going to tell you how I personally elevate my energy in the morning and start to ease into a state of euphoria before I even step on my mat for practice. And I will give you the answer to whether there is truth in the famous quote, "No coffee, no prana." Spoiler alert, no. So, the phrase "no coffee, no prana" was obviously originally intended as kind of a joke, or at least a half joke, and it's clearly one that people really liked because here we are, decades later, still using it to justify guzzling pots and pots of coffee before practice every morning. I will say that the one area there may be a little bit of truth in it is that if coffee is a big part of your regular routine, like it is for a lot of Ashtangis, then suddenly going without morning coffee could make you feel a little bit dragged through the mud. But of course, prana and the ability to thrive is there in the absence of exogenous or externally sourced stimulants. Coffee's active ingredient, so to speak, is of course caffeine. But what actually is caffeine? Well, caffeine is a central nervous system stimulant, so it makes you feel wide awake. It increases your reaction time and your feeling of focus. When your biomechanical system is alert and active, you are capable of producing greater force output through the nervous system to more specifically and more powerfully create muscular contractions. So, by extension to that, caffeine can make you noticeably stronger and faster. It is very widely used to enhance both physical and mental performance. It also temporarily increases your levels of dopamine, which is known as the feel-good neurotransmitter. Caffeine is a diuretic, which I think is one of the hidden things that Ashtangis really tend to like about it. It makes the body release water that it might be holding onto, so you might feel light and agile during practice. So lighter, more energetic, more clear-headed, more focused. Seems kind of perfect for Ashtanga yoga, right? Well, yes and no. For some people, those effects are really profound and really beneficial and enjoyable, but it's not always the case that feeling more light, more flexible, and more active in the nervous system is what the student needs to create balance in the body and mind. And for them, the experience could be just kind of ungrounding and unsettling. So the devil is in the dosage, and you will have to experiment to find your sweet spot, and be open to the fact that your sweet spot, your ideal amount, might be 0. In that case, I would still recommend having a caffeine-free hot drink in the morning, which will be kind of uplifting and get things going. Ultimately, your decision on how to use caffeine should be based on being well-informed and aware of how it interacts with your system under various circumstances, rather than basing it on fear of doing anything different than what you usually do. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine, which is a chemical in the brain that makes you feel sleepy. To work, adenosine needs to bind to its receptor, so it floats around your system. This is adenosine, floating around your system, and it sees the receptor, and it swims up to the receptor, and they bind, they fit together perfectly, and then you start to feel awfully sleepy. If caffeine is put into the system, it will swim around and slot into adenosine's receptor in place of the adenosine molecule, and the central nervous system will run wild, uninhibited, or rather, more accurately, less inhibited temporarily. And the problem lies in the fact that continuously overriding the natural function of your system might then leave you feeling fatigued or overworked. You'll initially have a lot of success in occupying most of your receptors with glorious caffeine, but the body is highly adaptable, and over a long period of time, it will develop more receptors, and you will have to take more and more caffeine to get the same effect from your morning drink. Sleep expert Dr. Matthew Walker has one very valid concern with caffeine, in that studies indicate that it has a half-life of 6 hours, meaning that its effects are really intense just after you drink it, and then it's still in your system acting at about half the intensity 6 hours later. What that also means is that 12 hours after the initial dose, it's still in there, acting at about a quarter of the initial intensity. Dr. Matthew Walker quite profoundly compares the effects of a cup of coffee at midday to being the same as a quarter cup of coffee at midnight. Think about that. But in my experience, there is a way to reduce the negative effect of this. So for me personally, based on my own experimentation on my own body and nervous system, getting the benefits of caffeine with minimal side effects can come from this specific set of circumstances. Firstly, I will take caffeine in a fasted state. That means taking nothing with any caloric value, with any calories, since the previous day. That will also mean that the morning drink itself needs to be either plain black coffee or a tea without milk or sugar. That might also be an easy way to introduce an intentional intermittent fasting routine, which I would recommend for most people, but perhaps that's a conversation for another day. But a fasted state will reduce the length of caffeine's half-life and will also probably make the initial effects more intense. So if you don't like that, you could play with reducing the amount of caffeine taken in that initial dose, which would also be a good thing. So that's thing one. Thing two is that the morning drink will be the only caffeinated substance that I will have during the day. I use it to direct the energetic lift specifically to this point in the day before starting my practice. And then having a powerful practice builds the energy to have me feeling good throughout the rest of the day, so I won't need to continuously take caffeine and keep taxing the nervous system. I don't use caffeine on rest days because I don't just consider rest days to be days off, but rather an opportunity to consciously rest the physical body and the nervous system. So I love coffee. But decaf coffee works fine when I'm not looking for the boost that comes with it. Decaf gets a bit of criticism for not being 100% caffeine free, but it's like 2 to 5 milligrams of caffeine compared to a mild coffee like an espresso capsule, which has about 100 milligrams. A bigger, stronger coffee could even have like 3, maybe 400 milligrams of caffeine in it. If you are like my friend Johnny, you only need to take a whiff of the steam of somebody's coffee as you walk down the street, and you'll fly through the Ashtanga Yoga 3rd series effortlessly in 25 minutes and then go into a coma. Other ways to elevate in the morning that can be used instead of stimulants or in combination. Listen to music. It doesn't need to be Guns N' Roses on full volume, but this should be music that stirs up something in you. Music that will elicit an emotional response is a really powerful way to stimulate the nervous system. Use this to set the tone for your morning and give you what you need. You'll then get on the mat in the right frame of mind. Don't blare the music out loud during your actual practice. Use this to elevate. Use the practice to meditate, and also use a good pair of headphones. It really does enhance the quality and the power of your music. Spending a bit bigger on this item in particular is something that I am always happy to do. So if you are someone who just uses the plastic headphones that comes with your phone, then this is an obvious opportunity for you to massively improve your all-round quality of life. Seek out powerful music and listen to it in the best quality that you can. Okay, final tip of the video, and this one is one that you absolutely must bring into your routine. Go outside. This one has been huge for me, and I always make a point of doing it because the effect is amazing. So no matter if you feel that the environment out there or the weather is amazing or not, go out onto the balcony, step out into your garden, step straight out into the street if you have to. The air out there is different. The energy is different. Spend a moment outside before you begin to practice and take it all in. It can be tremendously powerful.